Tonight we are going to candle all of the eggs. I have eggs, shipped eggs that are going into lockdown in 4 days. I have some black copper Morans that have been incubating for a week. And then I have some really dark olive eggers underneath the broody hen. And I can't remember when I put them under her, but I should be able to tell what's developing. Well, maybe. We're going to candle them and find out. But first, would you love to see the new babies? These little babies are some Isabel Americanas, and then there are some Isabel Wheaton splits in here. Isabel Americanas are technically lavender Wheaton Americanas. Wheaton is their base, and then they have a couple generations of that lavender gene bred in there. Another thing, I'm done with the nurture rights. I bought a Brincy. It should be here tomorrow. I was just in here 20 minutes ago, and this thing read 100.4, and so I turned it down, and then I came back in here, and now it's at 101.2. I'm over it. I'm over it with these nurture rates and your temperature issues. I take back all the nice things I said. Now I can't wait to tell you about the Brincies. We're gonna start with the shipped eggs that should go into lockdown in about 4 days. So basically anything that made it to this point is likely gonna make it to hatch. I mean, things could happen in these last couple of days. Does everything smell okay? But it is unlikely. So these eggs were shipped to me from Whitney Bissonette. They are American Breast and modeled Brahma. You know, I always prepare for the worst with shipped eggs. These, most of them were showing development on like day 7. I have kept them upright this entire time because they've been like jiggly. So I say all that to say that Whitney did everything right. Okay, we have some development and movement in here. That is a saddled air sac. Do you see how the air sac is not perfectly round on the top? That is saddled. Saddled air sacs aren't a death sentence, so I'm just gonna leave it and let it develop further. I'll put it into lockdown and see what happens. This egg appears to have quit developing. There's no veins, there's no movement. It's just kind of a blurry mess, but it definitely was developing in there at some point. So we're gonna remove that egg. Remind me not to leave the eggs I'm removing. This is a nicely developing egg with movement. The camera does not really do this justice. There's also movement and really nice development in this egg. I have not turned these eggs this entire time. Really nice development in here. And movement. I love it. This is very impressive with shipped eggs. Oop, did you see that? Did you guys see the movement on camera? Whitney, I'm very impressed. Do you see all the movement in there? We got a lively one. Look at its little foot right there. So these are like day 16. Look at that. This one, I'm scared of. This one scares me. You know what? I need to go put this one outside right now. Okay, so the reason that egg scared me is because it was just dark inside, no veins, and I had it in its own little egg bra in the middle because I knew that it was dark inside. Like, it had been that way for about a week, and I was worried that that might have been one of those eggs that was going to sour in there. And can I tell you that I just threw it out the door of my shed and I heard it pop when it hit a tree, which meant it was definitely, for sure, a rotten egg. This one has also quit. This right here is what we call the red ring of death. So this one quit relatively early, probably within the first week. This one's not showing any development. This one also started to develop and then quit, which is really common in shipped eggs. This one also is showing some development and quit. And same here. This one still has a pretty shaky air cell too. See that wobbly right there? That right, we're looking right there. See how it wobbles as opposed to, well, that one still moves too. See that? That air cell, this is the air cell right here. is not securely attached. That's why I'm hatching all these eggs upright, as opposed to that air cell is beautiful. I've got 5 breasts here going into lockdown. I mean, it's not lockdown today, but 5 breasts that I'm confident are gonna make it to lockdown. This air cell is a little bit on this malpositioned, but that's okay. Okay, I see movement in here as well. This egg also has, this is a saddled air sac. But again, saddled air sac isn't a death sentence. And if you notice in the middle of candling after your eggs have been incubating for a period of time that the air sacs are saddled, sometimes you can set them upright in egg bras and that might help them not saddle any further. Movement in there. This one has quit developing. Damn you, Lavender Brahma. This one has also quit developing. So we've got 5 breasts and 4 mottled Brahma, 9 out of, what did we start with, 22 shipped eggs. Honestly, that is phenomenal numbers. Now we're moving right along to my Black Hopper Moran's eggs. Now these eggs are dark, so they're gonna be hard to see and we won't see any development, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna candle for this air cell. You see this air cell right here. Typically, actually I do see a little bit of growth in there. If eggs are developing, then this air cell will be getting bigger throughout the development process. So the thing to do is to trace a line with pencil around where the air cell is at each phase of development. This one definitely looks like there's some development in there. Again, it's really hard to see with these Moran's eggs, but you can definitely see the air cell right there. I always hold them at like a 45-degree angle and look for that air cell. But I can see the development just barely darker in there. There's foreshore development happening here. Yep, I can see the little embryo in there. See the air cell right there? And you can kind of see how one side is darker than the other. This is that developing embryo. You can see it here too. See how it's darker on this side than this side? The embryo is developing over here, and there's your air cell. It looks like I have definite development in 9 of my Black Hopper Moran's eggs. I'm pretty confident that 9 of Whitney's eggs are going into lockdown in a couple days. So now let's go back underneath my broody hen and check out their BC2 olives under her. I have this broody mama hen with her really beautiful olive eggs. You may or may not be inside of a nesting box right now. Okay, these are expected to hatch on 11/2. Okay, so again, with these really dark green eggs, it's the same story as with the Moran's. We're candling to look for the air cell to make sure that it's growing. We're candling on the side, but you can see how this side right here is darker than this side. There is clearly development. And this egg, very clear development here. That's beautiful. Which one is that? Okay. This one does not appear to have any development, but it's early. These eggs aren't expected to hatch until 11/2. Sometimes there's just some like late bloomers. So I don't know. I don't know why one would be showing development and the other ones aren't, unless that one just happens to like always be in the middle underneath her and the other ones are around the edge and they're just like developing slower. That is the thing. They've maybe been in there for like not quite a week. So it's kind of makes sense that I wouldn't necessarily see development yet.